Today we're going to be taking a look at 75398 C-3PO. This set just released on August 1st with 1,138 pieces and a retail price of $140. This is the only 18 plus set that is releasing in this large August wave, and it's honestly getting kind of overshadowed by a lot of the other sets, which in my opinion actually makes this kind of underrated. Anyways though, on the back of the box you're going to find another render of the build, as well as some pictures of C-3PO and R2-D2 in episode 4, and then at the top right you're going to find a diagram of the dimensions of this build. Oh, and also on the side of the box there's also this cool little logo of C-3PO and R2-D2. Anyways, actually opening up the box and diving in, on the inside you're going to find 11 separately numbered bags, as well as this cardboard case that contains your instruction manual and your sticker sheet. Since this is an 18 plus set, by tradition the first few pages of the instruction manual have a lot of information about the build. You can pause and read all this if you want to. It is a pretty fun read. There's a lot of information about C-3PO and Star Wars, information about C-3PO and Lego, information about the person who designed this set, and then from there you're going to hop straight into your building process. The one and only minifigure in this set is of course C-3PO himself, and this is the exact same one that came in the UCS Luke's Landspeeder from 2022 that is extremely detailed with the dual molded legs and side leg printing, and then the one leg being a gray leg, as well as arm printing. This really has it all. It's a top-notch figure, and it makes sense that they reuse this one. I mean, this is an 18 plus set that retails for $140, so it really makes sense that they're putting in the highest quality C-3PO they have. And you also might have noticed this set comes with a plaque that can hold a minifigure that has all the information about C-3PO himself in Star Wars, as well as this little 25th anniversary brick that has been coming with a lot of different sets this year. The C-3PO build itself is impressive, to say the least. It's obviously not the most popular set this year, and definitely not the most popular set from this wave, although that does not mean it should be overlooked. When I built this thing, I was genuinely kind of blown away about how good of a job they did with it. It's not 100% perfect though, which I will dive into all of that, but for the most part, this thing is really impressive. The little stand and terrain area is probably my favorite part of this build. I always like when some type of terrain is included in LEGO Star Wars sets, and this is a perfect example of that. And also, not to mention, the way they were able to get the feet to sit on the terrain at the angle they're sitting at is really impressive. It has a pretty ingenious design with ball joints to be able to achieve this stance, and I was actually having a really fun time building it because I just thought it was really fun and creative. And also, if you look at it from the side, his legs are actually slightly leaning forward, and then his chest is popping out, which really captures that sort of curious and perked up look that C-3PO is supposed to have, and it's pretty cool. The actual legs and feet themselves look good too, especially the silver one. It's got a mix of light bluish gray and chromed out silver pieces. I saw some people online complaining that there would be too much of a contrast between these two colors, but now that I have it in person, it's actually not that noticeable, and I think it blends really well, and it wouldn't look as good if it was all one color. And then moving on from there, his thighs, his butt, his crotch, it all looks pretty good for the most part. LEGO did a good job and had the attention to detail on these parts. And right above the waist area, there's going to be some stickers that wrap all the way around. And honestly, this is an 18 plus set, so I would prefer these to be printed. However, it's not that big of a deal because they're pretty large stickers. They weren't very hard to put on, and in the end, they do add some great detail around this area. And then right above them, on the center of his chest, is going to be this printed circular disc piece, as well as this printed tile at the top of his chest that sort of gives him some pecs. His hands are on ball joints, so they can move pretty freely and pose however you want, and there's also stickers in his palms that represent some exposed wire. His fingers can also move up and down and pose how you want. They look pretty good, but for some reason, for me at least, these were like kind of a pain to build because you have to space them out evenly. Maybe it was just my OCD, I don't know. And then his arms at the shoulders can spin pretty much all the way around 360 degrees. They can't actually bend at the elbow joint. They can twist a little bit, but they can't bend. But what really matters is that they can move at the shoulders, and because of this, you can make some pretty unique poses with it. And the arms themselves look really good. There's some nice detailing around the shoulders, and there's even these pieces that are supposed to represent the hydraulic pistons that move with his arms. Now, everything about this set has been pretty much perfect so far, although the head, specifically his face, is really where the problems are. It's kind of like the same thing that Chewbacca had from last year, although not near as bad. Something about his eyes and his mouth just look off. I can't really point it out, but it just doesn't look right, although I can't really count this against them too much because like it is brick built. There's a very limited amount of ways they can make an actual face, so I do think they probably did the best they could have done. It just still doesn't look completely right. I really think the actual worst part is with his mouth. The triangle piece just stands out so much. It is printed by the way, but still it stands out so much, and the only thing I can think of to really make this a little bit better is to make those slope pieces the same color as the actual mouthpiece, because if you look really close, the slope pieces behind the mouth are a bit of a darker darker shade of gold, and I think if they were both the same colors, it would blend in a bit more and not stand out as much and look as awkward. But other than that, I really don't think there's much they could have done. I think it just kind of inevitably is going to look off because it's hard to make a face with Lego pieces. But on the bright side though, the back of its head looks good. Now, one of the most hyped up and talked about things with this set is that it was said to be able to pair really well with the buildable R2-D2 that came out in March, and I have to say it definitely does. This is a 10 out of 10 display piece right here. They are to scale with each other and you can pose them in many different ways and they look amazing. I honestly think if you have the R2-D2 from last year, this set is almost a must buy. And even better, if you're one of those weirdos that bought the $200 Chewbacca from last year like me, he is also to scale with C-3PO and R2-D2, so it literally makes for the perfect trio and the perfect display piece. Buildable characters aren't the most talked about or fan favorited sets, but when they pair together like this, they are incredible. Although back to C-3PO, would I recommend this set to you for $140? Now, if you have the R2-D2 from March, I think it's almost a no-brainer because they just fit so well together. Although if you don't have the R2-D2 and you're on the fence, I would honestly wait until it goes on sale because I do think $140 is a bit overpriced. I think $120 would have been way more fitting, but again, if you have the R2-D2, I think $140 is worth it just because this display piece for a total of $240 looks absolutely phenomenal. But if you do not have the R2-D2, I would honestly advise you to wait until it goes on sale. But other than it potentially being overpriced, I really have no issues with this set at all. I think the build is incredible. I would count how the face looks against them, but I mean, again, like, I think they did the best they could. I really do. It's nearly impossible to make faces with Lego. They maybe could have improved it somehow, but there's really no blatantly obvious ways that this could be better. So because of that, I would give the actual build itself a 10 out of 10. But for a set as a whole, I'm feeling a pretty strong 9.5 out of 10 just because I think that price point is a bit too high. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think about this set down in the comments below. If you're new, please consider subscribing. And if you want to check out more of my videos, you can see them on the screen right now.